All right, Nick. Looking pretty good. So far, so good. Good Friday night baseball game that we got here in Cincinnati. Got to see most of it all outside of maybe outside of the Ellie De La Cruz bomb. I think that if you're a new fan or you're a fan of the Reds going to a game tonight, like your first game that you've ever gone to, this is a good night to pick. You picked a really solid night.
Yeah, if only it would have been Brian De La Cruz instead of Jesus Sanchez. I thought that for a second. That would have been a funny joke to make. You still saw a De La Cruz bomb, but
right. Yes.
It was funny in my head for about like a half a second, and then I realized it was incorrect, so it wasn't really funny anymore.
That's okay. I do think that the De La Cruz joke will peek its head at some point in this series. I don't know who's going to make the joke. If it hasn't been made already, maybe. I've not been on socials a ton today, but somebody will make the joke inevitably.
Yeah. All right, Alexis Diaz.
Oh, I didn't know we were gonna get. I didn't know we were gonna get a 4-run Alexis moment.
Are glasses still for non?
Yeah. You don't listen. Let me tell you something, Nick. When you go into a work zone, whenever you go into a work zone, you put your hard hat on, regardless. Even though the machinery might be off, you still put the hard hat on.
And you slow down.
That's right. And you slow down because some nice girl on the roadside assistance Ohio commercials wants her dad to survive, which was an excellent marketing ploy by them. I might add. Because I've still remembered it.
Yeah.
Keep my dad safe, she said. And I thought, that is smart. You're ahead of me. That's one out. Nice. Very nice.
How about Nick Martinez? Back to his roots, 3 innings.
You know what I really love about Nick Martinez? The spice he had tonight. I liked the fire. I liked him picking up his team when they were making plays for him. Thanks for backing me up there, Nick. Appreciate that.
Yes, I agree. Sorry, I cannot talk and type. I can't do it. When I master that, this show will really be a well-oiled machine. All right, so well, our fellas are out, having a good time at the ballpark. So I have to put on an extra hat tonight. Try to promote this stupid show as well. So,
yeah, exactly. You're working overtime as always. Literally, you never don't work overtime, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. If the ship's going down, I got my list of people I'm taking with me.
All right,
chat.
Good screenshot. We're in business. We're rolling now. We're rolling.
We're Ooh, almost hit him. Does anybody have any advice when you're thinking about making it a purchase that isn't maybe the smartest purchase you've ever made? Now, it's not earth-shattering, but it's definitely something that you wouldn't normally do. I feel like I'm going to end up purchasing this thing at like midnight and wake up in the morning and be like, damn, I actually did it.
You going to tell us what it is? Or
I don't know if I should tell you what it is. It's like it's just an electronics thing. It's electronics mostly. It has nothing to do with important things in life, but everything to do with Oh, that's a good at bat though. We can live with that. I can live with that.
I'll live with hits.
I'm saying, like, we're not walking and hitting guys and all that. That's what really pisses me off. But you know what? If they're gonna battle and get hits, I'll live with it.
And that's not a good hitter. You challenge him. Yeah.
Yeah. Greg said, just ask your wife. She'll talk you out of it. And that is true. The thing is that my instinct knows that that's true. So I decide that I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to try to do is see if there's a different voice that comes in and it's like, just don't do it or do it.
See, it's the opposite in the Kirby household because I'll have like a $12 item in my Amazon cart, and I'll just be like, I can't get. I'm not wasting the money on that. And my wife will encourage me to just get it. And,
Gotcha.
you only live once. I'm the.
You
I'm
are
the
that way. You are that way. What did you do on that trip that made me think that 100% was you?
I probably made you stop and get a 2-liter instead of buying a 20-ounce.
I don't remember if it was that, but it was something of that. I think
Dollar Tree.
No, it wasn't that. I knew you were gonna think that, and it wasn't that. It was something at a gas station maybe where you were like trying to pick a candy over one or the other. You're like, I don't really want to spend this. I was like, dude, it's like $2, Nick. Jesus.
Well, we made 100 gas station stops. That stuff adds up, man.
I'm just saying, man. Like, come on, Nick.
There we go.
That another one?
We got two.
Yeah, we got two. All right, we got 2 of them. That's good. That's good. All right, Nick.
All right, I need to.
Ali Sanchez. Man, Alexis is throwing the ball well. I didn't want to say that out loud yet, but I profusely apologize, Chad, if he starts to do something bad.
Wow.
That's foul, right? He kept that fair? Damn.
That guy has
How do you keep that fair?
I can't I read a report on the Marlins last night. I cannot believe that guy hit a ball off the wall. I mean,
Dude,
he's like,
look how far this ball's inside.
He's been like a career minor league catcher. He's played like 16 games in his career.
He was about 3 feet higher from a home run.
Does not hit a lick. He has 2 hard hit balls tonight.
He didn't touch first base right there, I don't think. Didn't matter because he went back. All right, chat. Let's find a way. Come on, let's find a way. Harry's asked me if I'll feel good about the purchase after the fact. I'm going to love the purchase after the fact. That's the problem. Yes, I'm not going to regret the purchase. The problem is that I've made other purchases in the last like 6 months that have also been selfish purchases. So you gotta space those out, you know? I like that play. Let's execute it a little bit better next time. Come on, guys. Let's throw that ball harder off the brick next time, and then we'll get him. You know? Oh, Stevenson, like he touched it barely. Bare hand on the back end. Review it.
This will be.
Stay on him. Stay on him. Oh,
he should have left the tag on him.
Yeah, he would have got it. But you know what? I can't blame him for that. He would have been out if it was on him. But that's what. And you know what? I'm glad it wasn't because that's dumb. That's the part of baseball that's so
garbage way to win
stupid.
a baseball game.
It is. Yep. We don't want to win like that, do we, Nick? We want to win with integrity. Integrity was what we want to win with.
Depends how many balls Diaz throws here, depending on how high my morale is.
Do you want to go into the huddle like they did in the commercials and be like, Coach, I touched the ball.
Oh man, that's not good. That's tying runs now at the plate.
Guys, let's rally. Come on, let's rally.
All right, now I think I'm in the. I've lost all my morality. It's over.
I feel good about this. I feel good about it. We're going to stick with Diaz right here, and we're going to get it done.
They really love that Sweet Emotion song at GABP. Is that the official?
I don't know. I have not. I don't have my volume up right now. Which is disappointing because I'm sure Barry has got some good things to say.
Oh, I didn't put a run on here. Sorry, Marlins.
What do you think Derek Johnson's saying right here? What do you think he's saying?
Throw a strike.
Yeah, he's like, hey man, listen. There's really not much for me to tell you outside of.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want.
Figure it out.
This kid's been impressive though. Xavier Edwards made a couple really nice plays.
Yeah, he is.
He just got called up about a week ago.
About a week ago.
He's battled some injuries, but he looks like a pretty good player for a very bad franchise.
Let's trade. Let's get him. Trade for him.
He's one of their few.
Oh gosh, dude. 92, just right down the middle, belt high. I mean, it worked out because he didn't swing, but
this guy doesn't have a ton of power, so I mean, you don't want De La Cruz light to come to the plate as a tying run.
Crowd's on their feet. Oh. Been nice. Nice. Let's get it done, Alexis.
Ellie De La Cruz.
All right. Yep, he's out. That's a great play.
So smooth.
It's a great play. Before I get super excited, run the promo with no challenges. It's official. 7-4. Reds win, Nick. Reds win. And play.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steers' first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air,
Two things that just happened. One, it didn't crack. Two, I was muted, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways. Reds win, Nick, 7-4. Thanks for giving me a day off yesterday. I'm a little like Ellie De La Cruz. You know, there's times where you just you need a fresh breath of air. I was a breath of fresh air, I think is what I was trying to say. Got a little mixed up. You know, that's like my son yesterday told me I had a brain for a brick, I think is what he told me. So I was like, yeah, that's interesting. Regardless, he might not be wrong. Reds win 7-4. You have any oversight or any 30,000 feet above kind of viewpoints here before we get into the box score recap? Because there's some things that we really haven't touched on or talked about that are going to be in this rundown. One of them, I don't know if it's on the rundown, but I just want to talk about the base running. Okay, got to keep things fair on this show, fair and balanced. But it's going to be a fun show because there's a lot of good things that happen because the Reds won.
And Reds now 26-19 since May 24th. Some ups and downs, but you know this team's been playing pretty good baseball now for about 6 weeks, Trace.
There's no doubt that it's been a roller coaster. I don't think that anyone could say it hasn't been. There have been moments at the start of this year I don't want to say couldn't have gotten off to a better start, but they got off to a damn good start. 14-10 at one point. Then just everything completely fell apart. It felt like the Reds might not win another game for a stretch of baseball there just after the 14-10 start. And then now it's been in teeter-totter. You sweep the Yankees, you get swept by the Tigers. You think you might win a series on the third game against the Rockies, and unfortunately some things happened that didn't allow that. We won't get into that today, but you win 3 or 4 from the Rockies, and then you take the first one for the Marlins, and dare I say it, I mean, I'm going to say it out loud, but dare I say they sweep the Marlins, and now you find yourself in a position where you can get excited.
I think you can get excited if you take 2 or 3 from the Marlins.
That's that too, but, well, okay, there's a Nick Kirby excitement, and then there's a me excitement. Nick Kirby will be excited almost if anything happens outside of them getting beat both of these games, to be fair.
Yeah, as long as the Reds can win one of the next 2, I'm going to feel pretty good about where this team is, considering all that they've kind of gone through in the first half. I think that you feel like, hey, this team's giving themselves a chance in the second half. There was times this season where we wondered if that was going to be the case. And you win one of these next 2, no matter how optimistic you are or how pessimistic you are, you have to admit this team's going to have a chance in the second half. And that's a pretty good spot to be in because there was just many times where that was in doubt.
100% was in doubt. We talked on this show probably 3-4 weeks ago about how we just need them to hang on just for the legitimacy of us getting to hang out and have fun every single night. Because at some point it was going to turn into trade talk and 2025 at some point, but that's not the case. We're still in it, baby. We're surviving and advancing. Box score recap presented by you, Nick Kirby. In the meantime, I'm going to make sure that I can kind of get my ducks in the row for what I know will come as a deep drive of the day.
All right, Reds starting a 3-game series against the Miami Marlins at Great American Ballpark. Final series before the All-Star break. It was Carson Spiers against Yonny Chirinos. Reds jumped on Chirinos early. Jonathan India crushed a leadoff home run, 407 feet to center field. And then 2 batters later, Jeimer Candelario hit home run number 15, and it was 2-0 Reds. In the bottom of the second, Rece Hinds walked, and then Will Benson doubled him home off the wall, 3-0 Reds. And then in the bottom of the third, Reds loaded the bases with 2 outs on a Candelario walk, a Spencer Steer single, and Noelvi Marte was hit by a pitch. And then the legend of Rece Hinds continues. Hinds hit his 3rd home run in his 5th MLB game. This time it was a grand slam, 7-0 Reds. Now on the pitching side, Carson Spiers could not have started the game off any better. He struck out the first 6 Marlins batters and had 8 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. Spiers would get hit a bit in the 4th. He gave a back-to-back weak singles to Xavier Edwards and Brian De La Cruz. And then the Marlins' hottest hitter, Jesus Sanchez, hit a 3-run bomb to make it a 7-3 game. But overall, a pretty solid day from Carson Spiers. 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. The 9 strikeouts, a career high. Nick Martinez would throw 3 shutout innings. Got some help with his defense, but also got 8 swing and misses. He looked good. Marlins were able to scratch across a run off of Alexis Diaz in the top of the ninth, but Reds hang on and win 7-4. Reds now 46-49 on the season.
All right, we got a deep drive of the day, sponsored by DSC and Rece Hinds, the quadruple A, the MILB king, coming through in the clutch again. I don't care if he's Aristides Aquino, because if he's Aristides Aquino, I'll take it. I don't give a damn, because what I'm watching right now can't get any better. He's got Jim Day interviews, first career grand slam coming in the third inning, and it was his third home run of the year. Exit velo, for those that like to keep spreadsheet tabs on guys, 105 off the bat, 397 feet. That would give the Cincinnati Reds a 7-0 lead, which was very important, because otherwise we would have been all a little bit more nervous if we weren't already in that ninth inning. Reds would ultimately get a 11% boost of winning percentage coming from that home run, and it would end up being 100%. And DSC, they are a 100% leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to John and his team at DSC. I got a couple supers here real quick I want to get to. Rolf saying, I'm in the bullpen if you need me to come on to talk about paintings. Speaking of bad purchases, but electronics, they make everything better except in the Transformer movies. No free ads. Sir Boy Wonder. There is no bigger OG than Sir Boy Wonder 513. He says hashtag ATOBTTR. If you don't know what that means, it means, and this one belongs to the Reds. Acknowledge. Ellie. It was a great play by Ellie to end the game. I think it will be long forgotten. I also know that there are going to be some people that are going to be frustrated by the error that he made earlier in the game. And, you know, Nick, I think if there's anyone that can speak candidly on both sides of the argument about defense and metrics and defensive save, or basically outs above average, and just your traditional, I guess, stat line like an error, I think it would be someone like myself who's probably argued both sides. Elly De La Cruz is a damn good shortstop. And the truth is he might make some errors, but some of the plays that he makes, like that one, they don't show up as big. Why? Because it's not on the stat column. It's not there. It's just a traditional put out. Or I guess it would be an assist. But I mean, if he doesn't catch that ball, I'm not saying the Reds lose, but I will openly admit that I'm not guaranteeing it. So there's that. No more supers, Nick. We're off to the races. Rece Hinds. Let's get right into it. Couldn't have gotten off. I mean, you can't even expect it to go this good. The Reds went out and they got Austin Slater, right? Probably expecting him to have to do something. Like, hey, we need some depth in this outfield. We need some guys to come in and play that can give us some consistent at-bats. And it almost feels like, Nick, and again, I'm not saying it's a 100% done deal. We got it all figured out in the outfield, because we don't. But it feels like you keep adding pieces to the outfield. And Nick Krall's in his group, not just Nick Krall, but his whole group was probably like, there's no way that we can swing and miss on like 7 straight attempts, right? It feels like the bad gambler at the roulette table that just put like $400 on black, and they're 5 hands in, and they're like, they look at their significant other, and they're like, it can't hit black again, can it, honey? And then the 7th one hits, and they're like, I'm putting my whole mortgage on black, or on red on the 8th attempt. And if finally, maybe they're going to accidentally hit on one of these. Maybe. I'm not saying Rece Hinds is all the way the man yet, but between Rece Hinds and Slater, maybe between the two of them, Nick, we can get something decent.
Well, Hinds right now is allowing Slater to stay in his role. You wanted Slater to only be a guy that hits against left-handed pitching. And Hinds, obviously, with his power, he's more of a guy that could play, obviously against right-handed and left-handed pitching. I would honestly say, though, I keep seeing the Aquino comps, and I understand why, because of the light tower power and all that kind of stuff. But Aquino only had 1 extra base hit in his first 6 games. I don't think people remember that. I think they thought he came right up and it was instant. Rece Hinds, to me, this almost feels more like Jay Bruce when he came up. Now, if Rece Hinds was doing this and had the hype that Jay Bruce had, could you imagine like how insane it would be? Because I remember when Jay Bruce got caught up. I mean, you saw his jerseys popping up everywhere. I mean, you would go to Kings Island. I actually worked at Kings Island at the time. It was like a week later, and there was hundreds of kids just coming in with Jay Bruce's. I'm like, where did these come from? This guy just got called up. But that's kind of more to me what it feels like right now, kind of this just instant success. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just enjoying it. I'm not going to – I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on it. I'm just enjoying the ride. And Rece, just keep it up, man, because this is awesome. But he's making a lot of good defensive plays. That's the one thing that maybe I've been most impressed with, because he was not good defensively early in the year at AAA. There was a lot of plays that he misplayed or whatnot, and he's looked very competent out there in right field, and that's been pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, competent, confident. The ball that he came in on earlier in the game to his left towards the right field line was a great play. One in which, again, when you make good plays, it doesn't get the excitement that it probably should, right? When you see a great play, and the kid from the Marlins, he made a great play in the hole tonight, and Elly De La Cruz has made some great plays in the hole. But again, when you just make good plays, you don't get kind of the maybe the credit you deserve. And the ball to his left that he had played earlier in the game, there was runners on base. It was an important play, and he made it. So I'm with you. I've not seen him play enough baseball to put a concrete stamp there on whether or not he's a good outfielder. But when I've said this before, I know people will be like, whenever I said, hey, we need to get lucky, like, this is what I meant. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you just call a guy up and you get lucky for a month. Because the truth is this season, although, yes, on a day-to-day basis, Nick, it seems like a really long season. Yeah? I mean, we both can agree on that. However, it's really not that much longer. You get a guy that just goes on a month-and-a-half tear, and next thing you know, you find yourself in a position that you have a legitimate chance to make the postseason, and then you go from there. These guys don't have to be legitimate big leaguers all year long to get quote-unquote unlucky or lucky. Felt like earlier this season we were a little unlucky during the losing streak, and I know that people didn't want to hear it at the time, but when you look back on the losing streak and that whole situation, it was just a little unlucky, largely because the power was just completely absent. And then next thing you know, Nick, I mean, I'm a little semi-disappointed if we're allowed to be truthful in this show, that we do have the All-Star break coming up, because it's starting to feel like a lot of these guys are catching their stride. And then we're going to take a break. And I'm not saying the break's going to ruin it all, but I'm a little concerned about Jonathan India, because it feels like right now nothing can go wrong for him. Another guy that can't go wrong is Carson Spiers. Now, I know I wanted to put out a message that was really witty earlier, and I didn't do it, Nick, because I didn't want to get in trouble. But you remember that tweet that you referenced about David Bell just saying, hey, maybe Carson Spiers is just better than Graham Ashcraft? Like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. And then all of a sudden it came out and someone posted that and somebody got pissed and told him to take it down. Maybe they should have just stood behind it, Nick. Maybe they should have just stood on, what did the kids say? They stood on business. Maybe they should have done that.
Yeah, Carson Spiers, I think that, there's a lot of starts from pitchers where you see 5 runs, 3 innings, and they're not all equal. Like, his 5 runs, 3 innings tonight was a really good performance. The 2 hits that he gave up before the 3-run home run, exit velocity of 88 miles per hour and 70 miles per hour. And then he makes one mistake pitch to the Marlins' hottest hitter, and Jesus Sanchez, and hits a 3-run home run. But this was no walks, 9 strikeouts. You talk about getting lucky. We talked about that with Rece Hinds. I mean, I would say Carson Spiers is a little less lucky than maybe what we're getting out of Rece Hinds, but it's the same concept.
100%.
Where would this team be without Carson Spiers right now? I mean, God only knows what they'd be doing with that 5th rotation spot.
100%. And the only reason I think we don't talk about it as much as we talked about the outfield is because it comes around every 5th day. And also it's a part of a group that has been unbelievably good all year long for us. So we've not become like a little like shell shock to it. And in a way, we can deal with a bad start every so often because we've seen so many good starts. The outfield has just been relatively unbelievably inconsistent all year long, to where now it's just like we're just looking for something to complain about out there, and hopefully they can find a way to make that a little less common. But I don't really have much else to say. But outside the idea that I'd never seen a guy get off to that good of a start in a baseball game. I mean, just striking legitimately everybody out, and even Sadak made reference to it. It's just kind of hilarious during the game where his first out that he got that was put in play was like a super weak ground ball to the shortstop. And Sadak mentioned that there was like a groan in the crowd, like, "Oh, he didn't strike out the 10th straight guy." It's like, I mean, what are you supposed to do, Nick? I don't know, but there's really nothing else to add on my end from Spiers' perspective. I am thankful at this point now, where it feels like what he was doing in AAA is justified, and it's not a fluke. And he now can have the confidence to go moving forward to believe what he was capable of doing in AAA, he's capable of doing in the big leagues as well. Whether he is or he is not, I'm not here to argue that. But from a confidence perspective, I think that he's starting to believe that he can, which is, I would say, damn near 50% of the battle when it comes to being a professional athlete. Is half of it's just believing that you belong there and that you can do it consistently.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet tonight that Spiers didn't strike out more than 4 batters in a game at Clemson. Now, I know he was used a lot as a reliever. It might have been almost all as a reliever at Clemson, but it's wild. He's striking out 9 batters in 5 innings. I mean, that's dominant stuff. I mean, I know the Marlins are the Marlins, but just this kid's just been unbelievable this year.
No, he has been really good. All right, jumping into Jonathan India. Listen, I think that India's playing the best baseball of his entire life right now, and I don't think that can't even be debated, in my opinion. You can go back as far as obviously I didn't get a chance to watch him play Little League, but there's just no way you can play any better than what he's been playing. And he made a turn tonight from second base that defensively, once again, it was a good play. I wouldn't say it was a great play, but it was something that you should be very proud about as you watch your favorite team play. And it was a simple feed to Elly De La Cruz, and it was on time, it was quick, and it allowed them to turn in a double play, which is always important for a pitcher. And listen, I know what I'm getting ready to say. Some people might vehemently disagree with me, but at least you can say you know where I stand. Like, I'm not going to backtrack off of things that I've said before. I personally think that this is going to sound a little wild to some, but I think it's somewhat true. Depending on what happens on Sunday, Nick, would and could play a role within the future, in my opinion, of what you'd view as Jonathan India. Because when you make a pick with the number 2 overall pick, you should suspect and believe that person's going to make an impact for you within a relatively quick time frame. Now, I'm not saying that's guaranteed. But I think that should be the mindset moving forward. And I guess my point is, I'm a person, I'm not here to say that I want this to happen or anything like that, but my I don't know if you want to call it a business brain, a front office brain, or whatever it may be, but I'm telling you, Nick, this is a best case scenario for the Reds. And if the Reds want to be serious about moving forward, in my opinion, they might have to make a hard decision. I'll leave it at that. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, you can kill me for it. I love him. I'm glad he's playing well. But don't come crying back to me in August if you decide to pass on. And again, it takes 2 to tango, and I want to make sure they get something fair in return. Not saying you trade him for a bag of peanuts, okay? To be very clear.
Well, let's see where the Reds are in 2.5 weeks. I mean, it's getting close. I mean, if the Reds are within 3-4 games of a playoff spot, I'm not trading Jonathan India. Now, if Jonathan India was going to bring you back a massive return, I might have a totally different mindset. But you're going to have a chance this year, and with the Reds pitching staff, if they can find a way to sneak into the playoffs, they could go on a run. So I don't think you can punt on a season like this when you have this kind of pitching depth, you have this kind of pitching health first and foremost. I think you have to be careful on that. But obviously, if the Reds fall back 3 or 4 games, then it's an entirely different conversation. I don't know if I agree with the who you draft having anything to do with anything. I don't know. I'm not worried about my depth because we talked all offseason about how much depth the Reds had, and it looks kind of silly right now, myself included. I was, as much in that as anyone. So I don't think that whoever the Reds draft changes a thing about what position players you keep or don't keep, because it's hard to see what how guys pan out or not. But it's all an evaluation. You can't just make a blanket statement, trade Jonathan India or not trade Jonathan India, because we don't know what the return is. If it's not something substantial, you're not going to be able to go find a hitter for less than $5 million. That's an above average hitter that even if India's a DH or a left fielder or whatever he is, you just don't give him away. So it's really, it's fun conversation. I get it. But unless we know what the actual concrete return options are, it's really hard to even give a strong opinion one way or the other.
I agree. Neither one of us can sit here and say that the Reds made an unbelievably horrible decision if they don't trade him, because you don't know what was on the table. But I am here to say very, very clearly that if I am Nick Krall, I am using this whole time frame to my advantage, and you have the perfect recipe to be able to fleece somebody. You can say whatever you want. Say whatever you want, okay? You guys want to all get married to a guy that played great for a month and a half? Go ahead. Be my guest. But it almost seems like you're the type of person that goes on a game show, like, I don't know, The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, goes around for a month and a half, 2 months, and dates somebody and goes on vacation after vacation after vacation after vacation, says that you love them, and oh my God, this is the most perfect person I've ever met, and then all of a sudden real life hits again, and you're like, I just can't believe that things have changed. It just didn't work out. That's what we're dealing with right now. You can say whatever you want. Convince yourself this is how it's going to be forever. It's not. It's not. You come back to me and you kill me. You say that I'm the world's worst person and say I'm stupid and come back in August if this all holds up. But when it comes crashing down like a basically, a bunch of wet trading cards, then you can't say I was wrong, because I'm not rooting for that, to be very clear. But I'm also being relatively intelligent from the standpoint that I've seen what I've seen, okay? And as far as playing second base goes, this is peak. This is peak, and it's average. That's a relatively fair term. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's what it is. And if McLean comes back and is healthy, and if you have Bazana, the number 2 pick, and he's a second baseman, and he's on a fast track, and then all of a sudden Arroyo's coming down the pike, I know one thing, Elly De La Cruz better not be going anywhere, to be very clear. And I guess, is he going to play third base? Is he going to play third base? Are you going to move him to the outfield? We haven't seen him play outfield at all yet. Maybe he could DH. Those things all matter. And all I'm going to say is I'm very thankful that he's hitting well, and I'm very thankful that he's playing well, but if the Reds trade him, I'm getting out in front of this and I'm saying that's a good move if they get the right things in return. It doesn't mean that they're trading away the season. It doesn't mean they're an unserious franchise. For the first time, they might actually be on the right end of trading guys. Instead of being the team that always waits till everything falls apart and you have nothing left to trade, they're doing the right thing. While the stock is high, you make a move. And we'll see what they ultimately do. But we should be thanking Jonathan India, 1, for everything he's done, but 2, for even putting the Reds in a possibility of being able to fleece somebody else that might be desperate for a second baseman. End of my thoughts on this guy.
I will say, I did think Jonathan India looked really good at first base in the one game we saw him in spring training, for whatever that's worth. I'm being a little facetious there. Okay, so a couple thoughts on this. The Guardians are maybe the team that comes to mind the most here, because you might remember last year the Guardians traded Aaron Savali at the trade deadline. They were only a few games out of a playoff spot. They traded him to the Rays. They got their first baseman back, Mazzardo. He's actually not had a great year, but he was a legitimate top 50 prospect, and you see what the Cleveland Guardians are doing this year. I agree with all of what you're saying. I just don't think Jonathan India is going to bring back like a top 50, top 100 prospect. So if you're getting the same type of return as the Rays getting, I don't care if the Reds are up in the playoff race, trade it for the top 100 prospect and live with the results. But if we're talking, you're adding, your team, your 20th, your 25th best prospect, something like that, maybe even like your 15th, a guy that's, a flyer. I don't think you do that. But again, it all just comes down to, what are the return options? And yeah, I mean, that's really that more than anything is what it comes down to. I think that's more what it comes down to, more so than really if the Reds gain ground or lose ground, is the return.
It's all about it's all about the position that the MLB finds itself in that they've never found itself in before. There's never been a trade deadline in the history of Major League Baseball, which spans back a very long time, where there's this many buyers. I don't know if you've ever sold or bought anything in this world. I don't know if any of you people have taken economic classes or you understand how the world of trading works, but we do it every single day in our entire lives. And usually, if you have a commodity that, shout out DSC, by the way, if you have a commodity that not many people have or people are desiring and there's a bunch of people looking for it, now how many people are looking for Jonathan India? That's a fair argument. But I would just say there's no one else willing to give up a guy right now that has anywhere near the potential to help a ball club out this year and then moving forward, team control, I might add, than Jonathan India. Now, you might say, why in the world would you give that up? Because it's all about fit in pieces. I'm risking the idea that I have other guys that I think eventually take that role and play better than, especially, and this is why I keep saying this, I know you might disagree, especially if the Reds get Bazana, especially if they get him, because that, again, goes to the depth of the infield, and it goes right back to the position that is, where does Jonathan India play? That's it, I think. I know people are going to disagree with that.
I would push back a little bit on the Reds have done a pretty good job recently of moving on from guys at the right time. I mean, they traded Tyler Mahle literally days before his arm fell off. Brandon Drury. I know the prospect hasn't actually panned out so far in Victor Acosta, but they got a legitimate prospect back for him. They traded him at his peak value. So I think the Reds have done a pretty good job of moving on from guys. Yasiel Puig, remember him? Everyone wanted to sign into a 10-year extension. That looked like a pretty good move. They moved on from him. So I think post Scooter Gennett, they've done a pretty good job.
They have. And it almost makes me feel like every time you say something that is contrary to the public opinion of the fans and you do it, it typically works out.
I don't give a damn what the fans think.
Well, I'm just telling you that if you poll the fans right now in Cincinnati, what do you think they'd say about trading Jonathan India?
I don't think they would care if it's a top 50 prospect in return. I'm saying if it's a legitimate bona fide prospect, make the trade right now. I don't need to wait till
I don't agree with you on that. I think that the public wouldn't give a damn who you got in return. They'd be pissed that Jonathan India got traded.
Well, I agree. Maybe I didn't say that right. No, I agree. Yeah. I'm saying I personally. I
correct.
100% support that. But no, I don't think. I think people would be livid that the Reds did that.
Right now, I have people already turning the podcast off.
Just like Guardians fans were livid last year when they traded Aaron Savali, and now they have the best record in the American League.
Right. It's because the fans actually don't care who the players are. The fans care about whether the team wins or loses. And all I'm trying to say is I think, in my opinion, this team specifically, I don't know if they got what it takes to be out here playing buyers and acting as if you have something when really all you have is fool's gold. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say about, in a little bit of a way, of Jonathan India. I'm not saying Jonathan India is a bad player, but I also know that he's not this good. That's all I'm getting at. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Sure. And if people hate me for it, that's fine. If you love me for it, that's fine too. I would say maybe be a little more optimistic in life because I don't want to be on here. Reds win 7-4, by the way. I like doing that. Reds win 7-4, July 12th, 2024. They are currently... Did the Cubs win again?
Still in action.
Okay.
They are... But they're playing the Cardinals. They're up 3-0 in the bottom of the seventh. So honestly,
right.
we probably want them to win tonight.
All right, fair enough. I know that ultimately, we're trying to stay out of the basement here, so I want to keep a tab on that. Very important for a Chatterbox to make sure that the Reds are not in last place and the Cubs are in last place. Very important.
I'd rather the Cubs sweep the Cardinals, even if it puts the Reds in last place at the half. I mean, that's better for the Reds long term.
All right. Fair enough. I think that, not to be, I'm not doing this today because people already hate me. All right. Game time app. I almost did it, and I was gonna like really, really piss a lot of people off, but I just like being honest, or at least being somewhat realistic. And I think that sometimes we as a fan base forget how abysmal this offense has been at times. And I'm glad we played the Marlins, and I'm very glad that we played the Rockies to make us all feel a little bit better.
Same teams everyone else plays.
I didn't say they weren't, but game time app.
Do you want me to do the ad read?
I'll do 988 if you ever need a situation where you need help, call or text a friend. If you don't have somebody to call or text, you can call or text 988. I got something else to add. How about this? Here you go. This is Big League. I'm going to promote this every so often. There's a Striking Out the Stigma down at the Holy Grail. The Ohio Suicide Prevention is putting on a free event. I'm going to go down there and try to get as many people to come down there and check this out as possible. But Brent Suter and TJ Antone will be there as well. They're doing 50-50 raffles, silent auctions, little player Q&A. They've got it all going down there at the Holy Grail, right outside the ballpark, as many know.
It's big league.
Big league, because they're in the big leagues.
Well, if you also want to be big league, the Cincinnati Reds still have 2 games before the All-Star break that I personally think would be a good for you to try to get into attendance to. And if you are looking to get out of the ballpark, be sure to use the Game Time app, because the Game Time app is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. That makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app, they actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Guaranteed. I actually checked out the Game Time app today, and I almost purchased. I waited a little bit too long and decided I would maybe do it tomorrow, but I was going to get some FC tickets of all things. We're playing on Wednesday night. So,
okay.
Got a chance to go down there? Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. No guarantees. If there's anyone, this is a serious question. If there's anyone that's actually been to TQL or been to some soccer matches, I've never been. Could you just either DM me or put in the chat like where the best place to sit is with kids? I can't do the Bailey thing because I'm not taking a 9-year-old to the Bailey. I've seen some pictures. Doesn't seem like a very smart parenting move. But do you sit low, or is too low where you can't see the whole field, or do you sit too high? I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. Candelario, though, that's a guy that we do know. And it's a guy that we were begging to get going, and he's gotten going a little bit. 15th home run. Could you imagine? Can you imagine, Nick, the day that I stopped at that gas station, whatever day that was, that night, on that night's show, somebody would have offered us All-Star break, over under 14.5 home runs for Candelario. We would have lost everything we owned on the fact that he's not getting to 15 home runs before the All-Star break. And here he is. Here he is. I don't know what to make of it, Nick. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's Candelario's been, I think, just about what you expect. I mean, hasn't really been much better overall, mostly because of his just really bad April. But since he got going, hasn't been a disappointment either. I mean, this guy had 2 home runs through the first 29 games of the season. I mean, and now he's up to 15. So that's a pretty crazy turnaround. I don't know. Be interested to see what he looks like in the second half. Can Candelario get really hot a couple more times? And if he can, I mean, he might, in the year with some really impressive numbers. But I hate to be the party pooper. He's also another guy, though. If somehow things go south the next couple weeks, you probably need to be looking at moving.
Yeah. It is. This team's in an interesting spot because ultimately there's not many teams that don't think they have a chance. Like I get that I get the Reds fans right now, and I see in the chat. I can see the chat. 2.5 games out of a wild card. All right, let's play the game then. We're 2.5 games out of a wild card. I'm not playing Debbie's Downer. I'm going to watch every single game like I plan to anyways, and I damn near sure hope that I can smoke these Dominican cigars that I got. I'd love to do that. But Nick, what's the projected chance that the Reds go to the postseason right now?
I think it was 10% last night, and it is 3 games because the Mets won, so it's back to 3 now.
So we're at what, 10%, 11%,
8.9,
8.9%, 8.9%, and this isn't me like sitting here being like, oh, look at. I get it. We're all tired of waiting. I completely understand it. I know. I'm tired of waiting too. But I also I'm not gonna lose out on an opportunity of a lifetime if somebody comes barking down the tree asking for some help. I'll give away. You know why? Because I've seen them all long enough to play. I mean, I've not. This isn't the only week I've watched these guys play. So I guess kill me for saying that we're sellers. But we're selling. I'm selling. Because the other thing that's crazy is I'm not all that convinced that some of these guys that we'll get rid of, whether it's Cruz, whether it's, again, Diaz, maybe, I don't know. I'm just throwing out relievers. I'm not all that convinced that we might not find somebody else that comes up from the minor leagues, in AAA specifically, from a bullpen perspective, that's just going to fill the role just as good. And I know people are going to kill me for saying that because nobody wants to hear about the minor leagues and that. But Rece Hinds, he's doing all right. And I'm not suggesting that you're just going to pluck Rece Hinds out of there every single time you go down to the AAA. But I just don't see that many guys on this team outside of a handful that I'm married to. Maybe I'm watching a different game, to be fair. And Candelario's another guy that's on the block for me.
Yeah, well, Candelario, I think, is maybe even. I think it would almost be maybe even more prudent to move for Jonathan India if there's not a big return, just because in Candelario you're getting nothing back for. You're basically just getting someone to take his contract, but it gives you an opportunity to reset this offseason. Candelario is a year older. If the Reds could have signed Jeimer Candelario to a 1-year deal, they would have done it. The Reds didn't say, hey, Jeimer, we want you for 3 years. Right. That was, so you anytime you can reset a guy that's aging some, and I'm not saying Candelario's contract's handicapping this team by any means, but if you're out of it, you move on, you replace him this offseason. But it's gonna be fascinating. The Reds, July 29th, July 30th, July 31st host the Chicago Cubs. And both of those teams are probably gonna be right on the threshold of going one way or going the other way. So it very well might come down to the last couple days, kind of which direction the Reds decide to go.
Yeah, and go ahead, finish.
I think they're going to go down to the wire than this, and I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people do. Make the trades now. I don't know. The last thing you would do is make a trade, and then your team goes and loses 7 out of 8, and you're like, oh, well, we made the trade, and now we should be selling. Like that's what happened to the Angels last year.
Well, the Angels were buying. Yeah, I mean, I just.
They were buying, and then they sold at the waiver deadline.
Well, the waiver deadline, because they were just waiving everybody after they bought everybody for it was one of the most bizarre things. But and I understand people are upset at me right now because I'm doing this after a win or whatnot. The reason I'm doing it, the reason I'm saying what I'm saying now is, first of all, it's a stream of consciousness when I do these shows. It's not like I have a plan coming into the show is exactly what I'm going to say. Second of all, I think it's fair to say if you want to watch a show that's relatively fair, why don't people say what they say beforehand? Like, let's actually say something while you're thinking it instead of me saying, I thought they should have traded India. When you come back to me in mid-August, and I'm like, they should have traded. And then everyone in the chat's gonna be like, why weren't you saying that? Why weren't you saying that back on July 12th, Trace? I'm saying it now. That's all I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it. So you can't say that I said it on the back end if it's for whatever reason doesn't happen. That's all. Bullpen and the defense. Martinez gave us 3 innings. In a weird way, Martinez just continues to show why he's so valuable in the bullpen when he has an opportunity of almost when you think he might sneak in to be a starter again. There he goes, and he just shows you why you just don't want to take him out of that role. I just there's really nothing left to say outside of the bullpen has been is the strongest is not the right because starting pitching would be the strongest, but it's just like it's the one area that I feel great about almost no matter what happens because I think that they're going to find somebody to service it. They have so many decent arms down there that I don't think it'll ever catch on fire. Put it that way.
Yeah, first time Martinez has gone more than 2 innings. The first time he's recorded and out into a 3rd inning since May 26th. So 14 straight appearances of 2 innings or less. So this was much different than the usage we've seen from Martinez of late. Wonder if it's just maybe the way he felt tonight. Also, hopefully it's not. There's a few arms that are barking down there as well, because that's also unfortunately could be a reality. I know Cruz, Sims, Mole, and Wilson all pitched yesterday. So, the only guys that really were fresh were Diaz, Suter, and Farmer. And it's kind of one of those games where probably didn't really want to use either one of those guys, and let, give the Marlins a chance to kind of get back in the game. I'm not down on those guys, but, Martinez is clearly, I think, a better option than those two. So, but yeah, it was interesting to see his usage. Glad to see he still kind of has that in the arsenal because I wasn't sure if he did or not. How the Reds use Nick Martinez the rest of the year, I'll be kind of fascinated to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Martinez has proven that he's so valuable out of the bullpen that I just don't want to move him, period. And I know that that's not fair to Martinez, but that's just how kind of my gut tells me they're going to handle him moving forward, but it could be wrong. And then as far as the other guys, maybe they had some arm issues. I don't know. I mean, Martinez was the benefactor of some really good plays in the field, so I don't want to let gloss over that. Benson made a great play. I believe Hinds made a pretty damn good play, and then Fraley crashed into the wall and made a good play. So all of those things added up. Maybe it would have been a different night for Martinez if they don't make those plays. So it just goes to show you, and again, I mean, baseball is a team game. You need help behind you when you're pitching. There's no doubt about it. But it's just kind of like a status quo from the bullpen, and even Diaz. I mean that was a relatively good inning. I know that it kind of got a little hairy there, but isn't that what is always going to happen when you're the closer more times than not? If you don't walk guys as a reliever, I know it sounds crazy, but I rarely get that upset about it. Unless you come in 3, 4, 5 times in a row, Nick, and you get shelled all over the yard. My main ask of these guys is come in and throw strikes and make the other team, beat you. And I thought Diaz did that tonight. I know he walked a guy, but outside of that, he did a damn good job. So defense as a whole, again, excellent. And I already kind of touched on the Elier, but that's part of it.
I think that was the first night Fraley had played left field since mid 2023. I think since kind of TJ Friedel took over center. Right. He's pretty much only been in right when he's been in the field. So good to see him make a nice play. Poor Fraley, man, so close to finally getting that home run, just a few inches away. That would have been nice because I'm sure that is kind of weighing on him at least some. I don't know how much he thinks about it every day, but I'm sure a guy that we came into the year thinking was a 20 home run hitter. Last year at 15 and 111 games, and only to have one almost at the All-Star break is just kind of crazy. But good to see him put one swing that was close at least. Because we haven't seen a whole lot of that. Good game from him. And then Benson's looking a lot better in center field than he looked earlier in this year and the few times he played last year.
He made an excellent play on the ball coming in. That was a massive play. He saved some runs, and I was even gonna the base running mistake, and I think it was his fault. I'll use an analogy in a minute as to what I think happened on the base pass, but for him to be able to bounce back after a situation like that, and I don't know how much it's hard to know how much the player actually put on themselves in that spot, but I'm sure Benson kind of knew in the back of his mind, like, I kind of messed that up. I mean, I wasn't the one that ultimately made the big mistake, which was India, but he was kind of the reason as to why India made the mistake, is he just got a horrible read on the baseball, and then it took way too long to know that it was down, and then by the time he knew it was down, he was going to try to score, and then J.R. House, I thought, did a good job of holding him up. So, and obviously India overran him, so we'll talk about it in a second, but to bounce back the very next inning and to make a play like that, it showcases to something that I think he even said on a Bally Sports commercial. You see him every so often about how, last year he kind of matured and he realized that after a bad at bat, he still can go out in the outfield and make I think he said a game-saving catch or something like that. So, he's putting his play where his mouth was there on those commercials. So I appreciate that out of him, and I'm not here to crown him as a Gold Glove outfielder yet, and I'm not saying you are either, but we'll see how the season progresses. Can this team survive without TJ Friedel? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Depends how long Rece Hinds keeps this up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, that's the truth. If Rece Hinds keeps hitting like this, you can survive without TJ Friedel. If Rece Hinds, comes back down to earth, then you need TJ Friedel back pretty much ASAP. But on Benson, if he's able to play a competent center field, there's no question it raises his margin for error in terms of, how well he needs to hit. If he's a corner outfielder, he, needs to at least be hitting right-handed pitching well above average to really provide this team enough value. But if he's playing center field, he can hit a little worse and still be a valuable player.
Yes. And to round this show out full circle here, I think that's very much the case for some of these guys that are kind of going to find themselves in a weird position battle if they don't have the position that they're currently playing right. That's the other thing about India that I can't personally get over, which is fine, is that if this guy isn't a second baseman and he's a first baseman or he's a DH or he's a left fielder, do we still feel the same way? If he's playing like he is last month, yeah, Nick, sure. Yeah, of course. Best player in the world. I don't know what the stats are, but quite literally, he might be the best player in the world the last month. And I'm not naive to that. Until
Rece Hinds showed up.
Well, that is, yeah, but Rece Hinds hasn't been doing it nearly as long. Let's give India some credit. He's been doing this for like a month now. All right, last thing here before we jump into Reds MILB, I do want to do the kind of the. It would have been made a bigger deal if the game was either closer and or this game got out of hand and they find a way to lose it. People would have talked about this. J.R. House, is it J.R. House's fault? Is it Will Benson's fault? Is it India's fault? The analogy I wanted to use really quickly is just like when you're at a traffic light and you're yielding left, right? You got to wait till the light turns red to yield left. We all know that. But what happens if the light kind of turns red and you yield left, but then somebody comes speeding down the road and smashes you? Well, the truth is it's still your fault. That's actually a real thing. It's still actually your fault on the insurance. I know that India was the one that actually made the mistake. Like, I get it. He overran Benson. But I need Benson to be able to check the outfielders before the pitch or have a clue of where the outfielders are. And then off the bat, have a general idea that ball has no chance of being caught. It really wasn't even close to being caught. And it just took way too long to read it. And then it caused the pile up there at third base. And I don't blame anybody but Benson. I'm glad he made a play in center field. I know as to why you'd want to get on India, but India, in my opinion, put his head down and he was trying to bust it to third base, and he didn't want any wasted time or wasted movement because he wanted to go first or third. And in the back of his mind, as soon as that ball was hit, I just think he thought there's absolutely no chance that Benson can't score. And sure enough, Benson didn't score. That's my view of it. That's how I seen it. Don't know if you have any other things in the game that you see, Nick, that you want to point out before we jump into Reds on ILB, but that's just something I wanted to kind of get out there into the open.
I'm good.
All right, Reds MILB. Can't wait to hear the two guys. There's only two guys that I pay attention to in this rundown, and we'll see what they have to do.
What's the good stuff tonight? Louisville, they won 5-1 over St. Paul Bats. have now won 4 straight games. They improved to 46-43 on the season. Julian Aguilar, really strong outing again. 5 innings, just 1 hit, no runs, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. Aguilar's the Reds' number 16 ranked prospect now, a 2.25 ERA through his first 4 starts since getting promoted to AAA. So Aguilar continuing to be a guy that just has been very consistent as a starter for the Reds. I think we'll see him in the big leagues at some point in the near future. Zach Maxwell struck out the side. He's really looking dominant right now at AAA. It's kind of just a matter of time before the Reds, I think, just have to promote him at some point because he's just being so dominant. Yasmer Zulueta did give up a couple hits, but another game for him without an earned run allowed. And then Jacob Hurtubise, 3 for 4, hit his second home run of the year. One of them was actually when he was rehabbing with Dayton. Also stole a bag his 5th of the year. Hurtubise, that's a 9-game hit streak for him. He's playing very well right now. Good to see. He's also a guy that I think, probably got to get him back in the mix at some point as well. Not as good, though, for our friends at Chattanooga. They lose 11-0 to Biloxi. Lookouts now 24-61 on the season. Not a whole lot. Dominic Patelli 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Austin Hendricks, shout out to him. He walked. Bubba Thompson, man, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Avon Johnson, he was 2 for 4 with a double, so good night from him. Dayton, they won again. They beat South Bend 6-3. Dragons have now won 12 of 16. They're now 45-39. They hold a playoff spot. So that'd be kind of a fun thing to watch. Be cool to see that team with all those young prospects, get in a playoff race. And I think that's good for their development. The big one in this one was Logan Tanner. He's having a really brutal year. Reds' second-round draft pick as a catcher back in 2022, but he had a 3-run home run. The game was tied in the 8th. South Stewart walked. Jay Allen was on base twice. Cam Collier got the day off. And then Daytona, they were rained out. They'll play a doubleheader on Saturday starting at 4:05. Tortugas have won 5 in a row, though. Out in the Arizona Complex League, the ACL Reds currently tied 3-3 with the White Sox. That is in the top of the 4th. Tough start to the night for Shang and Lin, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. DSL Rojas, they were postponed today, and DSL Reds beat the DSL Orange 4-2. Yekel Soriano was 1 for 5. And a couple other notes. Just released, members only, did an interview with Nick Curran, the Louisville Bats play-by-play announcer. That is up on YouTube, so if you want to check that out, about 20 minutes. Really gave you some good insight into kind of Louisville. Talked about Rece Hinds and, his thoughts on Hinds' big week so far. So that's up. If you're a member, you can watch that right now. If you're not, it'll be in your podcast feed Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
Do you think that the Cincinnati Reds could trade Austin Hendrick and Bubba Thompson to the Florence Yalls for like a marketing seminar?
Maybe a mascot. Maybe I don't know. That mascot looks pretty good. Tough.
I don't know. Just a thought.
Tough. Tough sledding.
Austin Hendrick got $4 million. That's living right. Like you can't live life better than that.
I wonder, we'll never know the answer to this. I wonder if it wasn't 2020 and, they could have went and watched this kid a little bit more. Would they have saw the holes there? Or
I don't know.
Did this guy did he get drafted the right year where, I'm only going to show him my highlight videos because he was in high school too.
He's a high school kid. He's a high school kid.
I
he's out of Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, I don't remember where he's out of, but yeah, I wonder how much. I would love to know. You'll never know the answer to this. I would love to know. I'd love to talk to the Reds scouting on that. What was your scouting on Austin Hendrick, and wonder if they're like, yeah, we got bamboozled on the video that we got sent.
Yeah, he went to West Allegheny Senior High. Went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah. There's a joke in there somewhere about the Reds talking about their first round pick in 2020 for 10 minutes before they went on and decided they were going to go with Austin Hendrick. Now, to be fair, I know I put that tweet out the other day. It was more in jest to try to kind of like be funny about coach speak, because it's like, I don't know, there's something about coach speak and just, this PR speak sometimes. It's just so dumb. I don't know why you just can't answer the questions. And if you don't want to answer the question, just be like, I can't really answer that because it's kind of a private matter. No, you don't have to give some lie. You don't have to sit here and make up some stupid saying or something. The idea that they haven't talked about who the top of the list guys are yet and what they want to do is crazy. We all know that's dumb. Now, there's some people, of course, on X that jumped on that and act like that's 100% what they were doing. I know that's not, but just answer Chris Welsh's fun question. Do you want in secrecy, do you want the Indians to take a certain guy or not, or do you feel good about them all? I feel like you can answer yes or no. That'd be a fun little thing. I mean, you don't have to say who, but you could say yeah. Yeah, we hope they take somebody. In fact, I would have been funny. I would have been like, yeah, we hope they take Chris Welsh. But no, I mean, that's one way to get out of the answer, but they didn't do that, did they? Anyways, I digress.
It's true. You got to remember, I mean, that's a spot where if you slip up and give too much information, your head's rolling, because if you gave the Guardians they're not the Guardians, more the teams behind you, you give them any sort of indication or ammo, it could hurt your draft strategy and all that. So yeah. I get why they have to be tight-lipped about that. They probably shouldn't interview him. I mean, I know it's fun, but right. You probably should just interview guys, just have guys like LeCure who aren't involved with the decision do it and say, we'll talk to Joe next week after they make the pick. I mean, that's probably the better solution to all this.
Yeah, and I still think that that just in general, I think that when during the baseball circuits, when I would go down them, it just the stuff that happens in the baseball world at times is crazy. It's just like, this stuff is so overblown. Like, you guys, we're taking this way too serious. Way too serious. We're worried about the most ridiculous stuff happening. And I mean, I don't know what the hell the Guardians or someone behind them are going to do when the Reds guy gets on Bally Sports Ohio and says that, as long as they don't come out and say specifically what they want to do, I don't think there's a whole lot to get from it. But that's here nor there. All right, we do have more baseball on the way, believe it or not. A couple games left before the All-Star break. Well, who, what, when, where, and why. We got Andrew Abbott action. Take it away, Nick.
Yeah, Reds taking on the Marlins 4-10 on Saturday. Andrew Abbott 9-6, 3.06 ERA against Edward Cabrera. Cabrera just 1-2, 6.84 ERA. Now, Cabrera just returned off the 60-day IL back on July 7th. He allowed 2 runs over 3 2/3 innings against the White Sox his first start back. He threw 82 pitches. Cabrera's kind of been dealing with right shoulder impingement dating back to last season. He had to miss a month last year, and then he started this year late. But this guy was definitely a talented pitcher. He was a consensus top 100 prospect at one point, ranked as high as number 34. He relies on 5 pitches, a changeup, curveball, 4-seamer, slider, and sinker. Sinker averages 97, so he can definitely throw hard. Cabrera's never faced the Reds, though, in his career. Only active Reds that has faced Cabrera is Candelario, who is 2 for 2 with a double. And then, of course, Andrew Abbott. Last 2 starts, pretty good against the Yankees and the Rockies. 13 1/3 innings pitched, 1 run allowed. That's a 0.68 ERA. So he's pitching pretty well. Abbott has not allowed a home run in any of his last 15 2/3 innings pitched. So that's good. And Abbott has never faced the Marlins or any of their active hitters. So 2 pitchers that really haven't saw anyone that they're going to be going up against tomorrow. But yeah, I've definitely got to feel good about Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo the next 2 days. 2 talented pitchers that the Reds are going to face from the Marlins, but 2 pitchers that are really struggling as well.
Well, the one thing I would hope for is that if you can find a way where Abbott gets some success tomorrow, that Lodolo can kind of compound that the very next day, based off the fact that they're not the same pitcher by any stretch of the imagination, but they have the capabilities of kind of presenting the same problems. Most notably, they both obviously are left-handed. We'll find out. Listen, these games all matter. Every single one of them matters, and it without question, at the end of the season, it's going to be a handful that end up being the difference maker. Probably 3 or 4 games, And you could go through a laundry list of games throughout the season that could have gone one way or could have gone the other. We had a chance to sweep the Rockies in a 4-game set. That's not realistic. We all know that's not realistic, but they had a chance. They weren't capable of doing it. Tomorrow, excellent opportunity, hopefully, to give this Reds team with Lodolo your best arm, maybe. I don't know. Hunter Green might take that slot now. But point is, a really good arm going to close out the first half of the season on a 3-game sweep would be incredible. And you got to get it done tomorrow, though, no, don't you, Nick? So we shall find out. We won. We won a baseball game despite what some people think my attitude is. So you get to do the pillow. That's all right. You got it. I don't know what you put back there. You know, it's like
it's a bunch of clothes on the chair.
You figured it out. You figured it out. That's the problem. You know, it used to be like you had cups and like just random things back there that you've forgotten about, and you just throw it back there, and next thing you know, there would be some fireworks per se. But no, you figured it out. So now you're boring. You're like, what's a really good analogy for the Reds now? I don't think I have one off the top of my head. Unfortunately, I have a golf one, but no one cares about golf, so I'll just keep it to myself. All right, I got to dunk a basketball before I go, and one thing I want to ask you to do is
Sunday.
Okay, I was going to say, so I'll say this, and then Nick will tell you about Sunday. I was going to say, if you could do me a big favor, and the podcast on the weekends, there are times where it's pretty notable difference because people aren't driving to work. We get it. But we do the podcast on the weekends regardless. Sometimes, like Nick said, maybe you just pop it on the Alexa when you leave the house. If you already heard the show, you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. Pop it on the show. Ask Alexa to play Chatterbox Reds. And then you leave. Or you can listen to it in the morning while you're getting coffee. Whatever it is. Or maybe you don't like coffee. Whatever it shall be. Download it, rate it, review it. We do have some plans for Sunday, though, Nick.
Yeah, so Sunday, we're going to do a post-game show in the 9th inning, unlike our normal Sundays. We've been doing it at 9 p.m. because the MLB draft is at 6. So hopefully we have a normal baseball game and nothing crazy comes into play and we have to adjust. But so I'm assuming we have a normal game, we'll go live in the 9th, and then we're just going to stay on until the draft. Through the Reds pick, and then a little bit after the Reds number 2 pick. Bryce Spalding is going to join us. Bryce follows college baseball really well. He's put a lot of stuff out on Twitter about his thoughts on the pick, so he'll be able to give us some good reaction. Maybe we'll be able to get someone else. We're going to kind of see what else is out there. I might try to do a little bit of research the next couple of days, cram some, so I sound like I halfway know what I'm doing. But yeah, so Sunday we'll stay on live until the pick. I think we're going to do like we've done other Chatterbox programming. We'll do a second stream that you'll be automatically redirected to, just so there's a breakdown, because there's going to be a lot of people that want to hear about the Reds draft pick after it happens. And so we'll have 2 different actual streams, but if you join us for the post game, you'll be redirected to the other one.
Yep. All right. And as always, we appreciate you guys staying loyal and, watching us and enjoying the camaraderie that is Chatterbox Reds. So I always want you to know I am very thankful for everybody that watches this show, whether you agree with my takes or you don't, whether you like Nick or you don't, whether you like me or you don't. We still appreciate each and every single one of you, and that includes everybody that supers. So before I go, Ricky Super Chat says the Reds will trade for Rooker and their female announcer to call his home runs. I have no comment on that. None. Michael Rolfe back at it said, I caught, is it Gliers? I don't know what this Geta is. Do you know what this Geta is? Gliers or Gliers? I don't know. And I feel like I'm going to get crushed for it because I think it's like a traditional thing and I have no clue. I caught the Gliers Geta again at the 4th of July parade. 6 parades in a row catching the roll of Geta they throw out. Wore the hoop I debuted on CBOX Reds. Michael Rolfe is a cheese getter. Nobody gets more cheese than Michael Rolfe. Hinds is like Burrows. It's Hinds and Burrow. Names kill me. Right? Trace Fowlers and Rick Kirby. See, this is where Michael loses me. I don't know what that means.
I mean, it's that $500 bourbon he's drinking.
Could be. Or it's just my peon brain. I don't know. I can't keep up with some of this stuff. The chat, they got their own language at times. I have no clue. See? I got AJ Worse in the chat just telling me Gliers, Geta. Never heard of it.
I think Jazz Chisholm. I would take Jazz Chisholm over Brent Rooker.
Ooh.
Go ahead and throw a hot take out there. I think Jazz is going to be a lot cheaper, which is a big part of it.
Futures game is tomorrow as well.
Same time as the Reds, so we'll have some reaction hopefully to both.
Yep, a little double screen action. All right, folks, as always, it is that time of the show. I'm going to do my best to not hurt myself. The older I get, the more I wonder why in the world I have signed up to do this, but I don't know if I really ever signed up to do it. I think it just happened. Matt McLean, walk-off bomb. In spring training, nonetheless, of all things. Remember when we were excited about spring training games? I do. All right. Well, now listen. I just want to say, for those that think that I'm being negative Nancy tonight, I wasn't trying to be a negative Nancy. That's not where my heart was. Yeah, we have a 9% chance to make the postseason, but you know what? You're damn right. I'm going to be here for all 9% of it. I don't give a damn if it's 2% or 90. I'll be here. All right? I'm just saying, speaking from the heart. Speaking from the heart. Now I'm going to go be an athlete, and you guys are going to enjoy your Friday night because you know why? The Reds won. The Reds won, and that's all that really matters, isn't it? Athlete.